Well, our first guest joins us in studio, Mr. Craig Holland. He is the CEO of a company called FRZT Incorporated. FRZT is their stock symbol. Craig, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's always, I always kind of smile to myself when I talk to you because you're in the video game business. And, when I think of CEOs of video game companies, I think of like 20-something guys with tattoos and earrings, maybe a nose ring. But, you're the antithesis of that. You are a true CEO.
Yeah, I think there are some of those. Maybe there's a perception out there, but actually quite a few look just like me.
Now, tell us again what the company does. I mean, we are a video game company, but give us more detail.
Sure. Well, we're especially focused on the mobile gaming sector, and that sector has really exploded over the last several months, even 12 months. And some of the other companies in our category are companies like King Digital and Zynga, Glue Mobile. And if you don't recognize those names, you probably recognize the name Candy Crush,
sure.
Words with Friends, or the Kim Kardashian game. Those games are played by millions of people.
Well, speaking of millions of things going on, we saw earnings this week for Apple that were just their biggest earnings period ever. They sold something like 70 or 75 million iPhones, and I would have to think with all of that new devices in the market, that has to only help your company.
Absolutely. It really helps the whole sector because the first thing people do when they get a new device is they download new product, new content. And in fact, I can tell you in my family, a lot of my friends, people went for the higher memory devices. So maybe they had a 16 gig before, now they went for a 64 gig. And what that means for our business and the whole mobile gaming sector is more room to download more apps and spend more time playing games.
Now, I know that you specialize in something that's called free-to-play.
Right.
Where basically it doesn't cost anything to download the app or the game, I should say. It's free to play the game, but then you have optional things that you can purchase. That's a fascinating business model. Tell us about that.
Yes, exactly. It's called free-to-play, and exactly as it sounds, there really is no cost if you want to keep playing. What you do is if you want to play faster, maybe you don't want to wait for something in terms of getting access to new levels or getting access to power-ups or things that might help you perform throughout the game. No limit to your play, but you might have to wait, and that's where virtual currency comes in. You use that virtual currency to make your way through the game, and that virtual currency you buy with real currency, and that's how it works.
So when the company releases a new game and you're putting it out there, you're actually paying very close attention to the downloads because every one of those downloads represents potential revenue.
That's right. That's right. Although overall it's a small percentage that do spend, what we look for a large base of players because the more active people are in the game, especially as it involves social aspects of the game, cooperative playing or competitive playing, that encourages more and more play. And people get competitive, and when they get competitive, they tend to then spend money in the game.
Now, we were having a little bit of a chat before going on the air, and you were talking about how it was so interesting during the holiday period recently gone by that there was all of a sudden a lot of advertising on television for mobile games, which really hadn't happened before.
Right. It's really unprecedented. I mean, for those who watch the bowl games or other types of TV during the holidays, I just saw ad after ad for games like Candy Crush and Soda Crush and Game of War and Clash of Clans, and I bet most of your viewers saw that too. To see multiple ads for mobile games is really, that's usually reserved for the console market. And that's actually really indicative of the fact that the mobile game market has come to a point now where it's getting very close to the value of the console market.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, I did happen to see a press release the company put out recently. You're actually in the process right now of really ramping up your game production. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, this year we are committed to launching 4 games, 1 per quarter. And the first game we're going to release this quarter is a hidden object game called Black Forest. And we're really excited about it. It's a game mostly designed for women, which, by the way, that's where a lot of the money is in the mobile gaming market. Games like Candy Crush and Kim Kardashian are played mostly by women.
Okay.
And we're very excited about it. I'm not ready yet to talk about the other titles, but that's the title for this quarter.
Now, I know that this is a large space and there's a lot of different players, and at some point you would have to think that consolidation is going to happen. I know you're getting ready to get into acquisition mode. Tell us about that.
Yes, we actually already are in that mode. We announced that we've started meeting with companies, and we are actively looking for companies that are a good fit to build up a much larger company than we are now. And
what's the advantage that you can offer a smaller player? I mean, I realize you're a publicly traded company, so you're able to use stock as part of your acquisition, which is attractive to someone who may be a smaller player. But tell us about the advantages that you're able to offer.
Sure. Well, in the games business, most of the developers really are in the business because they love making games.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily want to spend too much time in things like finance or user acquisition or other types of corporate functions that might distract them or take away from the pure fun and joy of making games. So we think, and we've met with a lot of companies where there's interest in focusing on making good games, and we would love to let them do just that and build a bigger corporate entity together.
So FRZT is able to kind of ride in like a white knight on a horse and say, look, you guys continue to make the stuff you like to make. We'll handle the business side of it with an acquisition, and that becomes an easy marriage.
I love that, white knight. I'm going to use that. Yeah. That's great. That's exactly right.
Okay. Once again, the company is FRZT Incorporated. FRZT is their stock symbol. Craig, fascinating to see the update on the company, the progress you've made. Looking forward to more of that over the next several weeks. Thanks.
Great. Thanks for having me.